So, good morning, good afternoon, and or good evening to all everywhere. I'm Tanetta, and I know this video is coming back to back, but I really want to get through with the series of domestic violence. I want to move into other things and tell you why I still see life in the most beautiful way of it being half full and not half empty after all the trauma that I've been through in my life. And I also want to move into all the beautiful things and all the testimonies of my life. Uh, I also want to get down the road into this series and get into the live streaming, talking with the guests that will be coming out, and actually wrapping this up and preparing for October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so I definitely don't want to go into the months ahead of time. I want this wrapped up early and in advance for those people that are trying to find the courage. People don't understand the victims of domestic violence, and it's a cycle that we go through of hope and courage, finding your self-courage, finding your worth, your value, your reality, actually realizing the reality of what's going on, especially if you are married to that person or you have a child with that person. It's even harder. Or even if you with that person and it's long term, you've been in a relationship for 12 years, 10, 18, 20 years, and this is your domestic partner. I do want to jump on the bandwagon. For me, I'm a Christian, so I'm raised in a Christian home, a husband and wife. But let me say, with all due respect, anyone can be a victim in any kind of relationship. Dating, relationship, whether you're youth or you're an adult, whether you're part of the LGBTQ community, it's not okay. It doesn't matter if you're a woman and another woman is abusing you. It is still domestic violence. It doesn't matter if you're a man and your gay partner is abusing you. It is still domestic violence. So don't get it twisted, and don't by any means think that I am disregarding any particular group of people. I am not. I am just raised one way, and it's not to have a disrespect to any group, because I don't. I don't have judgment on it. I only know what I believe, but it still doesn't make me love anyone less. And so I just wanted to make sure that disclaimer was out there. And the last time that I had this conversation, we talked about this book by Cali Connley, Going, Going, Gone. And I wanted to jump in a little bit more when I tell my story today. As you see today, I have my sticky, I have my marker. This isn't the one I wanted to talk about yesterday, but I still have my marker. It's an incredible book. I really like what she's done with the book, the way she's broke it down, chapter after chapter. There at the end of the chapters, there's really great resources and things for you to think about, and little note areas for you to reflect on what she went through. And so if you can identify with it, it's really good. There's a part in here, and I remember in the last video that I did, is that I said, if you get this book, make sure that if you can't have it in your house, you keep it somewhere safe, a friend's house, a neighbor's house, somewhere, a safe deposit box if you have access to that, or rather a post office box. A private post office box is better, where the United States Post Office really harasses you about, you know, hey, you have mail in there, you have mail in there, you haven't been checking your mailbox. Some of them do, some of them don't. And then, but a private post office box really doesn't bother, as long as you just make your payments. And if you don't have constant mail going in there anyway, they don't really care. So, I mean, if you have some things that you're going to be sending there, definitely send it there. A private one will give you an actual address as opposed to a post office box where you won't be able to utilize those things. But anyway, before we get into the gist of those, because y'all know I will ramble, I will do random rambling, right? That's my thing, that's my slogan, and my tongue twister. And so yeah, so we're going to be planning a live stream, hopefully having all the guests on the same day. I don't want to spread out too many things. We'll see how things go. I'll talk to the guests that I have planned. And I seen a gentleman's video today. He spoke out about being raped by a family member. I know it's not domestic violence, and I understand that it is family trauma and abuse and psychological abuse. I'm really contemplating having him talk anyway, just because men don't talk about their situation. And if they're going through domestic violence, I would really like them to hear a man speak. So the topic may not be quite if I can get him, but I definitely want to make sure that there's a man encouraging. I know a man who's in the military. Military is notorious for having domestic violence, and it is notorious for not helping as much as you would think that they would help. And if you're a husband in the military and you have a wife, as much as you're not supposed to hit your spouse or any of those things, you can get definitely reprimanded in the military for being a male and abusing your spouse. But if a female spouse is abusing her military husband, there is a lot of kickback. There's a lot of belittling and not taking it serious, and a lot of, well, man up. You know, military does that. You know, if you hurt yourself, oh, you know, we keep going, we're soldiers, and all of those things. And I've been around a few military people, family members, and have seen this. My son even broke his foot. Military is like, suck it up, you know. So so yeah, I watched someone not go into the details of his spouse verbally, emotionally, and physically abusing him, just because of the, what's the word I'm looking for, the stigmatism of it, you know. I'm sorry, that's wrong. I must be thinking about my eyes. Y'all know how I be. Anyway, the you know I'm not gonna edit it, right? Yeah. Anyway, any the stigmatism in my eyes. I got a stigmatism in my eyes. Okay, but anyway, it's just really tough. The you know, how they treat them, and you know, it's taboo. It's just not the thing. I remember growing up, my father, macho, you know, he's got some Cuban bloodline and some Nigerian bloodline, totally macho, totally like, right? And so if my ex-husband catered to me, when we first got married, I was young, he was somewhat young, and he catered to me. And my dad was like, oh, you're yellow, you know, you got a yellow tail and your yellow stripe going down your back, and your he would call him all kind of names, and you know, it just wasn't cool at all. And I had a husband who kind of catered to my every whim because he just adored me. And so my dad wasn't used to that. And you will hear, I've shared some things about my dad, and you will hear, we're 10 minutes into it, so I'm going to go ahead and get to another part of this. So, in Going, Gone, Steps to Leaving and Rebuilding Your Life After Domestic Violence, um, I read the introduction, and I don't have my glasses. Again, I don't have my glasses tonight. And so I have a case, no glasses. All right, yeah, I left him in the car, so blah, 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 blah. We're going to try to get through this because remember what I said? The printing of this is absolutely beautiful. It's a 9-size print. And so we're going to get through my stigmatism, right? Okay. Me and words. There's some things you guys have got to know about me and words, and getting tongue twisted and mind twisted. When I was younger, I've been hit in the head a couple of times. And so much that some doctors would even say, you have an acquired brain injury. And so I get tongue twisted sometimes. I also have a bunch of brain fog. I've gone through a lot of things. I will be sharing some health things as we go along. But, oh man, so this battery is down to 15%. I have this one at 30. So we're rolling pretty fast on the videos. Let me get the charger. Nevertheless, let's just get into it since I've been rambling on for 11 minutes. And so in the book, I read the introduction yesterday a little bit. I'm going to read, I can't see what it says. I don't know if it's the preface. Yeah. Her prologue. Okay, I think that's what it says. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna read another section. I'm going to tear pieces of it so that I can just get to the gist of it, because really I want you to buy the book because it is excellent. And if you haven't been through domestic violence and you're helping others, this is really a great book. Phenomenal for what it was made for. And like I said, I'm starting life over, and it did give me the great to go, man. And I wish that I did have this a book like this, or this particular book. She talks about finding a book almost of this nature, and it helped her get through her time of leaving, So I wanna just looking at my notes. Okay, yeah. So she says in October is now known nationally as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. My child and I celebrated by leaving and starting completely over in September 2010. We have been celebrating ever since. When you are with a verbally and abusive alcoholic spouse, you spend every waking hour trying to figure out why that person is so unhappy. At first you think that you are the cause, or it could be his job, family pressure, and so on and so on. After a while, you just get numb to the harsh words and twisted emotional outbursts. At some point, if you're lucky, your hearing clears up and your strength becomes your guide, and you hear what is really spewing from your abuser's mouth, and you react. I reacted on September 15th, 2010. We were lighting my husband's birthday cake candles, and he went into a rage against our precious 6-year-old daughter. He told her that he should slap the shit out of both of them. Or what, quote unquote, slap the shit out of both of us to teach us a lesson. That scared our daughter to death, and I woke up. I'm going to drop down When you are the victim of abuse, all of the shelters agencies tell you to make a plan to leave safely. That seems useless when you have no job, no money, a child to care for, and most of your friends and family have been driven off by your spouse. Dropping down a few, on the night of September 22nd, 7 days after Tom's first crazy outburst during dinner, Tom went into a rage at the whole world. Dropping down, our daughter yelled at him to stop. He got even nastier. Dropping down to the next paragraph, our daughter was way back in the hall with a pillow over her head. She was screaming for her daddy to stop. I took her tiny hand and walked her into my bedroom. I sat on the bed and tried to be calm and think and breathe. All at once, I heard that prominent voice that we all hear but never really listen to. It said, "Just leave, just leave." Dropping down, I stood up, took my daughter's hand, and walked out the front door. Continuing on further, he followed us and said, "Get the fuck out, both of you, and never come back." I felt blessed, like I was finally free of his terror. The burden had lifted. I took nothing with us. We were free. I smiled for the first time in months at the end of my driveway. Dropping down, do not fear trading hell for heaven. Do not let fear hold you back. And please forgive me again. I don't have my glasses, and I hope that I did it justice reading without my glasses. And so that's just a little bit. I gave you the intro, and that's just a little bit of this book because I really want you to get the gist of what this book is about. And she's telling you her story, and then she's going to tell you how she made it through step by step, like what she did. And she even has a part in here, I think it's in chapter 1, where it says, "Our first 72 hours upon leaving an unstable man in an unstable house." Like, what happened right after you leave and you're not prepared? Because apparently she wasn't prepared. Like, this was a random night where it finally hit her. And I know someone going through that right now. They called me on the phone, and her children were terrified about dad. I think dad even like went into some rage and hid out, and the child got hit. And she asked me what to do, and I said, well, it was accidental, but what about when it's not? And what about accidents are called accidents because they're accidents? So what if he accidentally kills her? What if he accidentally puts her in the hospital because of his fits of rage? And so you can hear clearly that Cali had that voice that we hear when we know we're supposed to do something, but we can't logically figure it out. And so it makes no sense, even though we hear this voice telling us whatever it's telling us. And for her, it's like she knew that this voice has always been there telling her to leave, and then seeing the reality of her daughter and watching him say what he's saying, like, now he's getting nastier at his own daughter, saying, "Daddy, please stop." So when you go through domestic violence workshops, or you get you a counselor or a program, or a community resource program, they all give you these wheels. You have this power and control wheel. This is the domestic violence wheel. This is the one that shows you physical, sexual, physical violence, sexual violence, and then it breaks down all of the emotional, the isolation. I'm doing pretty good with no glasses. The coercion. I think that's what that says. I don't know. And then the economic abuse. It breaks down all of those abuses that I'm always talking about: the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and coercion, and the financial abuse, and the stalking. It breaks all of those things down. And then on the opposite side, they never pass out this will without giving you this will so you can know what a healthy relationship looks like. And she puts that in her book, and I find that to be phenomenal. And this is a non-violent relationship of equality. And I just love it. And so I remember when I went through my program, that's exactly what they handed me as well, even with my justifications, right? And then I'm always explaining to you what are warning signs, the types of abuse, and she actually identifies and addresses those. And she talks about signs of being abused. A lot of times we're in relationships and we don't think that they're abusive because we've seen it in our parents or in our parents' parents or with our sisters, our big brothers, whatever. Or we've always been in this type, and so we just figured that's the way it is. We've never seen what healthy love looks like. And because of that, we deem that as, this is just what love is. I had a family member who was dating someone, and she told him, well, hit me. And he said, no, I'm not going to hit you. And she says, well, then you must don't love me. If you loved me, you would hit me. Now, I know we do a lot of role playing and do all kind of stuff in our bedrooms with our significant others. And if you play the role plays, okay, please be safe with the role playing as well. I know someone who did the role playing, and she was toxic. And when stuff hit the fan, she used some of that role playing, that grabbing that she liked. She would bruise and say, he's been bruising me, he's been abusing me. Okay, so be careful. Gentlemen, if you're watching, be careful with that. Women, if you like the rough things, be careful about how you treat the other person. No bruises. Okay? If you like bruises and pain, please go get counseling. It's not necessarily healthy. So please go get counseling. And if you're the person that they're asking you to do it, then I want you to have second thoughts. They might be right now losing their mind. That's not true. Don't be listening to her. I just watched that situation happen. So when they got together, I'm sure that is not what they thought. So nobody plans on most people don't plan on divorce. Most people don't plan on breaking up, and most people don't plan on taking each other to court and taking them all to the bank and whatever, So life happens. Prepare for it. All right, so I'm going to get into my story because we're 23 minutes into it. In fact, what I'm going to do is, since we are 20, should I do a second video? I don't know. Y'all like the long videos or the second videos? All right, I'm going to keep going, and you guys could fast forward at any time or go back, whatever. This is what I was looking for. Okay, but I'm not going to go into it. She's got this wheel of success, of worldly success. Did I mention that yesterday? Anyway, nevertheless, I'm going to go into my story because I really want this to be done. Hopefully we can get this done fast. So her story, I read a little bit of her story. There are more details in there, and as the book keeps going, you will learn more details as well. Again, she is a phenomenal person. Sees every single day as a new day for a new opportunity and new sun rays to come down, even when it's cloudy. When I was younger, they used to call me sunshine. I smiled all the time. And I tell you, this is the person that if you're having a bum day, you want to wake up to, so she can tell you, let's go rollerblading, or, you know, let's go try this new bakery. Like, she's living life to the fullest, enjoying everything she does. From the smallest thing to the largest thing, she makes everything better. Okay. And so nevertheless, that was her story, and here's mine. I have a couple of notes down here just to keep me focused. And so I don't have no glasses. All right, so that's bad. Okay. So what I'm going to do is tell you, I'm going to combine, since I have a lot of things that have happened in my life, I don't want to keep going and dragging on domestic violence. So I'm going to combine a lot of things that have happened. I'm even going to combine relationships. So you're not going to know one from another unless you're that close to me. You know exactly what happened. And most people don't know everything that's happened, because it's one of the things that when you're in the middle of your domestic violence, you kind of keep it to yourself. You don't really tell your friends and family, and even if you did share with somebody you think you can trust, eventually it starts to feel like you're burdening them, because you talk about it. They're going to talk about it all the time. If your loved one is talking to you, they're talking themselves into the courage to do what's right. And if you're that person and you're feeling like you're really burdening them down, you have to stop and think about, how do I want this to end? Because your family members are scared for you, and usually the reaction for it is, well, if they're not going to listen, I'm just not going to give them the advice. It's not that they don't love you any less. They don't really know what to do, and they're trying to be there for you, but honestly, they just don't know what to do. And if they've helped you and you've gone back, they don't understand that it's the cycle. And I don't want you to get comfortable with the cycle. It doesn't mean that you have to keep going back, because one day you might be the person that we talk about on the news that doesn't come back. You went back and you don't come back out. Most domestic violence are accidentally on purpose. My cats are going crazy. A push on the head, a push can can make you fall and hit your head, and then you die. An argument can become a heart attack. There are so many things that could happen. You can fall down steps. You can break your neck falling down the steps, but that was never the intention. You were screaming at him, he fell backwards on the steps, and now he's dead. Never the intention. But because you were arguing and the neighbors heard you were arguing, now they're questioning you. They're looking at it different. Is it homicide as opposed to accident? Was it accidentally on purpose? Okay, so enough of that. I'm going to combine some things and some stories. And so I don't know if the gentlemen in my past are watching my videos or not. And I am staying very discreet for a reason. It's not to protect who they are. It's to protect the relationships that I have. And if they have change their life for the better, I definitely more power to them, and have so much respect for what they've accomplished in their lives. I don't really hold a lot of grudge. I just gracefully bow out. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do a lot of combining, and I'm going to go through them kind of fast for the sake of time, and for the fact that I am squinting my eyes, and yeah, you get to see other ethnicities in me come out. And so, because they were there. And so, let me keep going. A narcissist. So I have this thing that says, went through a relationship. I attracted narcissists. I've attracted more than one narcissist. And I remember listening to the definition of a narcissist. And I went to my therapist and said, oh my gosh, am I a narcissist? And she said, sweetie, the fact that you're even asking me, you're not. But you've been exposed to a narcissist. And when you're exposed to a narcissist, you start to pick up some of the things that a narcissist does. And because you pick up things that a narcissist does, you'll start to resemble them. You'll mirror some of the things that they're doing. Makes absolute sense. This is like the child who grows up in a family that maybe their parents are drug addicts and they swear that they'll never be a drug addict, but it's what their environment has been, and they get into drugs, and they get into drugs just as bad as their parents, if not worse. And these are the same kids that you knew growing up hated it, like just even hated being around their parents because they gave the drugs more time than they gave them. So what happened? This dysfunctional familiarity just, this feels normal. It feels normal. And so she wanted to reiterate to me that this narcissist feeling kind of feels normal because you've been catering to his needs all of this time, and now you're wanting him to cater to yours, and you're demanding him to cater to yours because you're feeling overlooked. And so I picked up some narcissists. He would blame me for everything. He would tell me that I was the worst. He would tell me that I should be so lucky to be with him. There are so many women who wanted him. He would tell me things like, oh, are you just thirsty? You've been in many different relationships. And those are put downs. It wasn't like he was saying it to really get to know who I am and say, hey, babe, you've been through a lot of things. Is there anything I can do to support this? Is it because you've been through this? Are you needing to be married? Are you needing to have these things were just come off really cold and just belittling. And honestly, I don't, they say a narcissist knows. I don't believe that. And remember, I'm combining. I don't remember that I don't believe that he's a total narcissist. I believe he has traits of narcissism. And so, because there are other things that, as a therapist, I can say, I can tell you he followed all of those. But nevertheless, I've been in that relationship, and it's very abusive. It's very emotional abusive. It's very verbally abusive. Always jealous. I've been in a relationship where he's always jealous, always checking up on me, checking my phone, going through it. Keeps a lock on his phone, but it'll go through mine when I walk out. Doesn't think that I know that they're going through my phone. Tell you it's okay for you to go through theirs. Like, we're open, we've got a good relationship, and then you go and then really belittle you, like, well, wait, I thought that's what we were doing. I thought we were open like that. But being sneaky and going through, that's a different kind of thing, and always accusing of what's going on. I had a time where he went through my phone and said, what's this? And I'm going, that's an old thing that happened before you and I, and that's not what it's saying. Oh yeah, you were sexually active with him. Nah, that's not what it was saying. And he fought me, just argued, would not accept the fact that, dude, you've got a good woman, and she, I don't lie to you. But no, he insisted. And there was something that this person said that pertained to, I guess, was some kind of jargon that you use for sex. And I didn't know that. And honestly, I don't think that they knew it either. I was like, read the whole content of the conversation. Not once do I even say yes or try to correct him on it, like, no, that's not what I do, or none of that. Like, neither one of us, I don't think, realized that that's what it is. In fact, he had something that he would always say. And when I met him, and I would say, you know what that means, right? It means like you're dying. Like, that's not an appropriate um, saying to say, because people will think that you mean one thing and you're meaning this. Simple mistakes, but in his heart of heart, he just could not accept the fact that I was being honest about who I was. Whatever his insecurities were before he met me, he was projecting them on me and my integrity of who I was. And so relationships should not be that so jealous that you know, where are you going? What are you doing? Um, where did you just go? Did you wake up in the middle of the night? Where'd you go? Oh, I went to the kitchen. For what? Did you take your phone with you? Things of that nature. It shouldn't be that. There was one time when um, my significant other, he we're married, and he um had we went to a different church. We said, oh, we're gonna start going to this church. He knew the pastor. Let's go. And he said, oh, I see the way you look at him. Wait, what? What are you talking about? And the only thing I could come into conclusion is because I've lived my life in the Christian world as a child, and so I know what a good Christian man looks like. I know what a good Christian mentor looks like, but it doesn't mean that I have an interest in all Christian men because they're walking the walk. Kudos for you. You're not the man for me. I'm not interested in it. If I'm with somebody, I'm with somebody. So, I was kind of heartbroken. Like, you think that, okay. I can't say bye, Felicia, but I wanted to say bye, Felix, right? Because no, that's not what we're doing. And so there was another time when we were at another church event, and my mom had me wear this wedding gown, and I was marrying Jesus that day, and we were doing, she was doing a sermon, and so one of the gentlemen came in and said, oh, you look really nice, sister. And I was like, thank you. And he gave me a hug, and you're supposed to greet each other with a Christian kiss, right? I don't even think he did it, but if he did, maybe it was on the cheek. I'm not really sure. And I got accused that I was looking at him all night, and that's who I wanted to be with. This old man. Yep. That's how I was looking at it. Like, are you kidding? Like, I've got a fox next to me, and you think that, okay, alrighty then. So I don't know what happened in your past, but I'm not part of it, and I just really want you to trust me. So the emotional abuse that I went through it, and trying to figure out what's wrong with him, and what's wrong with his past, and why does he do this, and what kind of relationships has he been through, just like Cali put in her book. Like, you're trying to figure it out. What's wrong with me? Like, did I do it? Was it the past? What's he going through? Is it past relationships? You're just trying to figure it all out. And it's really not yours to figure out. It's for his therapist to figure out. And it's just, if you're by his side, it's just for you to stand by his side and be there and comfort him and build him up. But all men don't know how to accept that, because they don't know what a healthy relationships looks like as well. And there are lots of men that do not know what healthy relationships look like. So, there was one time when my children were given, my ex-husband bought my children a video game, a video console. They were really excited about it, and Oh man, they were just elated. And I want to say it was for my son's birthday, or maybe it was their Christmas present. I don't really know. And so there was this rule that my um, significant other had. Um, there was this rule that, and he was my husband, and so there was this rule that um, there was this rule that he no my ex could not come over the threshold. Could not walk over the threshold. Okay, so he could not come in the house, and that was the rule. No exes came in the house, no matter what way, shape, or form, or whatever. We were totally honest, very transparent with one another, and the children's father came over, and he came over too early because my significant other had not made it home yet. So when he came and we opened the door, I was like, whoa, okay, well, he's not here. If you could stand right there and let me see if I can get a hold of him. He should be coming home soon, yada yada. And he said, well, here, just, the kids were all excited. And so he was like, here, I just wanted to hand it over. And I said, okay, well, he should be walking up at any moment. I'm sure it'll be fine if you just stand at the door. I'll leave the door open and you can see opening the gift. You can see him actually opening the gift and get your, his kudos for doing it. From, get it the excitement, the facial expression from his son, and the love he's gonna run and jump in his dad's arm and all that stuff, right? And all the kids are gonna play with it, so they're all excited, right? And those things did happen, and my significant other came through the door seeing that it was open, and I don't even think that I was standing there. I think I was in the bedroom kind of watching so I could make sure that everything was copacetic. And he was like, let me talk to you. I got in trouble for him bringing the counsel. Even after, prior we talked about it. He knew he was coming on that day. He was just running late. And I got in massive trouble trying to do the right thing on all ends and not wanting my kids to know there's tension between the two of them. It didn't matter. Massive. In fact, it was so bad. I want to say that was the same day that night we got into it really bad, laying in the bed. And when we laid in the bed, I'm just saying, well, it was really innocent. It wasn't really anything. And he smacked me in the mouth in the dark. Like, I'm laying on the other side of the bed and he smacked me in the mouth, and I'm like, I immediately jumped off. My first response was to ball up and curl in a ball and try to figure out, what do I do? I'm trying to get my bearings. It's pitch black in the room. I'm trying to adjust my eyes. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anywhere to go. Family were already talking about him being abusive prior to him being abusive to me at all. He had never touched me. It was almost as though they talked it right into existence, kept saying he was being abusive when he wasn't. So now that he's taken this turn and here he is being abusive, I'm like, I have nobody to talk to. I can't go to my ex and tell him, here, take the kids, because now I need to justify to him what's going on so late. So I waited for him to, I think, go to the restroom or do something. I don't know. I said, I'm going to go check on the kids. And I did that. The kids were awake because they heard some commotion but just didn't know what was going on. At least most of them were. And I think I only had 2 children with me at the time. And I think the other 2 were with their dad. But anyway, so I grabbed the kids and said, get out, quietly. And I had them hide to the side and take my purse and take the keys and told them to go run down the stairs. I'll be right there. And I did that. I ran out of that house, grabbed those kids, and we got in that car and we took off. And I believe that night we slept in the parking lot of Albertsons. It was Lucky's then, I think. And we slept in the parking lot. It was well lit. Um, I just couldn't go back that morning. We played it off, got up, went to my mom's house. Hey, good morning. We just wanted to see you guys this morning. Washed the kids up, got them ready. My kids had an award ceremony that day, that morning, and I wanted to make sure that they made it. And so got them all cleaned up and made it to the award ceremony. Um, I think I had this dress for a long time. I think it was this dress or wouldn't like it. But and then later I got the kids to their dad house and told my then significant other wanted to talk. I wanted to share that my children weren't there. And so that was one of the incidents. Excuse me. Sorry. Um But yeah, he beat me bad one time, so bad, and I fought back. And my daughter ran up under the table, and man, it was just really bad. And I remember him coming after me, and he stumped me, and he had on his nice shoes, and the heel of the shoe went into my thigh and opened up my skin, and I had the nastiest, deepest cut. And I still have the bruise to this day, and I'll never forget that. And I was so angry that I was going to be like my mother and not fight back. I watched the abuse of my father and mother, which I'm gonna talk, about cycles. There definitely were these cycles that were happening, and I saw that with my parents. And the only thing I could think was, I don't want to be weak like my mom. I don't want to be weak like my mom. My mom would shut down and let things be so that he wouldn't get angrier. She was actually very strong and very courageous to do so. But in my mind, it was, I don't want to be weak like that. And so she was very smart not to argue back. And so I started arguing back, and it was the first time I'd ever argued back. And I remember he came at me, and I picked up the lamp, turned it upside down, and commenced of like trying to hit him with it. And I threw it at him. No, I threw the VCR. I picked the VCR and threw it at him, and it hit him in the back. And he ran down the steps. And I was so brokenhearted because I think I was a newlywed at that time. But yeah, this permanent scar. And then he did it again. We had moved, and he did it again, and he stumped on me, and I ran outside on the balcony, and there was nowhere to go. And so I waited for him to leave and planned on a lot of things. Went down to my rental office and said, look, I need to go take care of my father. Can you please get me out of my lease? I have to take care of him. I wanted to bring them in, but I didn't. I later had to let them know, hey, if he's looking for me, I'm not telling him. And so I'm leaving him as well. When he leaves, he might come back to see if I'm still living here. I'm not going to be. He was not on the lease, so it was easy. And so I left and went into a program. I had to wait for a bed to open. I went to my sister's house, and we lived in the shelter. We were pretty much living out of our car, and we would pillow to post it to everyone. And then we went to this shelter program that would house you for so many weeks and then send you to the next one. And they would just shift you around. I had a lot of things going for me, a lot of programs already working in my favor. So they were really working with me, trying to get everything working for us and get us relocated to a house and everything. But went through those. I also went through sexual abuse with my significant other. Um, I have a fibromyalgia, and I have convulsions from stress, and too much stress on the body, too much stress, too much emotional stress things going on. And so I'm not epileptic. I just have these stress induced convulsions. Um, they are not psychosomatic, but nevertheless, they argue about that, but I've had people argue, therapists argue about it, but nevertheless. So I would take medication. I would take these, they're not even SSRIs, they were antidepressants that were, well, I don't even remember, which I had a lot of them back then. And they would make me tired. And yeah, they would make me tired. I want to say they were the amitriptylines, and I would be like exhausted. And if I had a seizure, I would be tired. I really could sometimes know things and sometimes really not know what was going on. If I had the medication and everything, I was really just drained and burnt out and whatever. And so there were times when I'm out of it and he was having sex with me. And sometimes I would remember feeling it like a dream. And then sometimes I couldn't remember it at all. And then I would discharge him the next morning and feel myself and go, were we intimate last night? His justification was, I'm his wife, he's my husband, but it's not right. It's just not right. Y'all know I smile when I get anxious and nervous, right? It's a coping mechanism. It keeps me from crying. So, it's not right because I didn't authorize him to do so. Now, I'm a very, very easygoing person and a wonderful wife. And so if he just would have asked me, it would have been consensual to say, yeah, I'm your wife. Knock yourself out. I don't know how much fun you're going to be having if I'm not responding. But hey, as long as I keep my wifely duties upright. But that's not what happened. I do remember we talked about it later, but there was this stretch of time that I didn't know and was a very submissive, respectful wife. There were also other things, there were other positions that I never would have consented to, but he would tell me, like, you're my wife and this is what I want, and I knew you do whatever it takes to make your husband happy. But he knew that I wasn't happy about the situation. So remember what I told you about narcissism, and that I went to my therapist, and my therapist was like, yeah, you're gonna start picking up some of the things that he does because you're his significant other. You know, the Bible says, and the two shall become one, and we become whole, right? And so for the two of us becoming one, it's always been my belief that if my husband has things that he wants to do, I embrace them as mine. If he wants to build a ship, he wants to be Noah, hey, that's my goal too, and I will embrace it, get into it, find out what it is. And so he had this sexual thing that he did that I didn't like at all. And I shared it. Excuse me. But to make him happy, I would try to get into it so that it wouldn't be painful for me, so that it wouldn't be a discomfort, it wouldn't be an emotional discomfort for me, rather. And I started saying, you know what, this is my husband, I love this, I love what we do, anything that he does is for us. And honestly, I didn't like it at all. And just like the narcissism, that started to become what I enjoyed. I would never initiate it, but okay, let's do it, and even moving on to other relationships, going, oh, okay, well, yeah, we can do this because they asked for it, not because it's what I remembered, but I remembered to embrace it as, oh, yeah, I'll do that. I enjoy that, but I really didn't enjoy it. So, if I was sick, he would do it. If I was on meds, he would do it. In fact, there was one time I bought a car and he got jealous, and I had a seizure and was on meds that night. That morning I woke up and my cell phone was ruined and my car was ruined. He left and I broke down the street and he just drove past me. I tried to use my phone and my phone was ruined. I didn't know what was going on. Long story short, found out he put water in my gas tank. They actually got all the water out by releasing it through the bar up at the top. That's how we found out. We put it in a cup and watched it separate. Dangerous thing to be taking it out that way, but that's what we did. And he took my cell phone and stuck it in a glass of water, and then dried it off and stuck it back into the plug. So that morning I seen it plugged up. He confessed to all of those things. There wasn't anything that I did wrong. I just bought a new car. I needed a new car. I was on the bus and he was angry. Remember that power and control. He was angry because he no longer had the power of where I was going. I had a car. I wasn't on a bus. I didn't need a ride. I didn't need him to drop me off. I'm now self-sufficient. And that happened during one of the times when we were separated from each other. So he didn't like the idea that I had a new car and I had a new credit card. When I was a child, my mom and my dad argued all the time. And my dad would offer me candy after he yelled at me or hit me or just verbally abused me. He would say, oh, here's candy, here's a Butterfinger, mostly Butterfingers, Three Musketeer. And one day I said no. And he was angry that I said no. I know that it's not domestic violence, but that psychological abuse were seeds being planted at that particular time, teaching me things that I grew up and could not figure out what a healthy relationship looks like. I could not figure out what a healthy man to care for me looks like, even though I seen it in my grandparents, I seen it in other people. I could not pull it apart. What was dysfunctional became functional. What was familiar became my reality. Knowing this isn't what I want. Remember what I talked about, the children who have parents that are drug addicts. It was the same thing. Here I am saying that is not what I want. I do not want a relationship like my father is to my mother. And there it was that I was choosing what was familiar. Other people around me, I just recently, someone told me that their friend's husband was having sex with someone else as they came out of the room. He was having sex with someone on their couch, knowing that his wife was in the other room. That is abuse. If you're going through that and you're in a relationship and they're bringing people home to have sex with, it's abuse. You are going through some emotional abuse. You are being traumatized. There's not a lot of difference between kid trauma and um, adult domestic abuse. The trauma is real. Um, I also just heard that, I think I told you the story, someone, he got upset and hit the child. It's abuse. It's accident, but it's his screaming and yelling. He's emotionally destroying his family. Lady, to the one who watched her husband on the couch, get out. To the one who's watched her husband accidentally hit their child, you told me he had no remorse because he was in this not drunken, he was in this psychotic state. Get out. You're telling me the stories, knowing my stories, because you want validation. You've already heard the voice, just like Cali said, that prominent voice that you know you've already heard that said, leave. No, you don't know how you're going to do it. Yes, you may have become dependent on taking care of him or him taking care of you, or you don't want to lose the idea of this is our family. Get out. I have someone who was pent up against the wall because he was angry. He was angry at her because he thought she was having an affair. He hit her, he kicked her, and he pinned her up against the wall. When she got away, he tripped her. She fell down the stairs. It was God that saved her. Get out. I've been in these situations over and over and over myself. I remember being pinned down on the ground for something that I didn't do. Well, something that I did, but I wasn't with that particular person. That person has put it in their mind that I did something that I didn't do to justify that act. When you get out of this relationship, get help. Don't just leave. Get help. You've gone through some traumatic experiences. You both have been through some traumatic experiences, and even if they get the help that they need, it's still not safe to reconnect. I'm an advocate of the Lord, and I love the Lord. And you need to go to your prayer closet. And when I say that, not hear what you want to hear, but what God is telling you. God would never stick you in this relationship where you could die. They need help, and you can't fix them. Do you hear me? Wait. They need help, and you can't fix them. You need help, and you need to fix you. You are 100% responsible for you. You are also not 100% responsible for them. They are 100% responsible for themselves. I don't care what they've brainwashed you to believe. I don't care if they've told you you're the only person I have. They need to get their own help. Genuine help. Genuine help. Not surface. Not something that they're telling their therapist just so their therapist, so they can look good in their therapist's mind. Like, oh, they're a really good person, and now they're the victim. No. You need to get help and not worry about what they're doing. No matter how much you love them, no matter how much you care about them, no matter how many children you have with them, no matter what, you have got to get help and healthy. Men, if you are being abused by your significant other, whether it's a woman or a man, get help. You have to be safe. You have to be safe. These Lifetime movies that we're watching are based on real people. Don't let it be your story. The news we watch are real people. Don't let someone have to identify your body from it being accidentally on purpose. The court scenarios are real people. I am watching someone go through something right now in court because she's toxic. And it hurts so bad to watch them go through it because now they have a domestic violence case. I am all for justice. And that is abuse. Turning the tables because she is a woman and crying, turning the tables, and now he's dealing with this. If it's a toxic relationship that's going to put you in jail or end your life or put you in the hospital, if you even think of it for a moment, like, man, I could go to jail, or, oh my goodness, they're going to put me in the hospital. They're not for my best interest. Get out. Get out. It'll be greater later. You'll get past the pain. It too shall pass. And if they leave and you were in the right, God did you a blessing. Do not go chase them. All right. Enough of that. Remember that the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233, 1-800-799-72-SAFE. 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-7233. And Love is Respect is 1-866-331-9471. That is 1-866-331-9474. I am coming out of San Diego, California. And in San Diego, we have the San Diego County District Attorney's Office Victim Service. That number is 619-531-4041 for the central office. If you live in the East County, the North County, or the South County, if you call that number, they will give you the other numbers. I'm trying to alleviate for the time. The San Diego Family Justice Center is 619-533-6000. These organizations can help you with your legal paperwork, get you a restraining order. I know, I've been there. What's a restraining order going to do? Protect me in armor? Like, do I put it up and it's going to protect me? Right? No, but you need your legal stance on things, because if you don't have this trail record, this paper trail saying what's going on, you're going to be in the situation that this other person is in. If you don't leave this paper trail when you really need help, they're going to go, we can't help you. There's no proof of this. If you need to take your child with you, you need this paper trail. I think in Cali's book, she talks about calling the police, saying, hey, I need some help. And she, gives this police report. It takes them forever to get back with you. Trust me, you are not the emergency. And so she calls and they take the report. And in the report, it's totally different than what she's reported. I have someone that I'm talking to right now where the police is treating her like you want me to call, and you want me to take your husband down when he's just being an American citizen in his own home. Yeah, but he's beating us. He's beating me, and this is what he's done. And they're saying, yeah. They're telling her how wonderful he is, and he's unstable. And he's been called out. She's had to call the police out multiple times, and they've seen his instability. But she got no support. So when she asked me, who's going to help me if the law enforcement hasn't? And I told her, you better call this number. You better call this 1-800 number. You better start talking to your community. You better start learning your community. She's in this small, remote city. I'm here for her, but I also need her to be smart. I also need her to prepare, and she's in a position to prepare. Yeah, so anyway, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. I wish you all the best. Please pick up Going, Gone by Cali Connley. I will let you know when we get ready to live stream. I tried to combine a whole lot of stories. This is my longest video, and I know that a lot of people are going to fall out, but it's okay for those who stuck around. Yay. Her website is authorcaliconley.com, and that is www.authorcaliconley.com, and you can purchase the book if you like an autographed copy of the book. I'm sure she'd be happy to do it, give you some extra tips. If you contact me at bemotivatedtm@gmail.com, I'll be sure to make sure that you can let me know what you're interested in, and I'll be sure to get you connected to get you that autograph book. Remember to put it somewhere safe. She talks about things like taking pictures of stuff. Like, you really have to read this book. I don't want to give it all away because, yeah, it's good. If you get to the point where you can't afford the book, understandable. If you contact me, if you contact her, I'm sure she'd be willing to talk to you. But please, there's nothing like having your own tangible thing. She's got this really great spaces for you to write in at the end of the chapters. It's just really beautiful. And y'all believe that I'm a motivational speaker, and I say so many times it ain't even funny. The toasters would have a ball with me. Girl, get it together. You know, so there's just a lot of little nice little tidbits in there where you can insert things. She has things already pre-done for you that are necessary, and then you go ahead and insert the rest of what you need. It's just really nice. And then she has these spaces where she's like your thoughts and even what she was thinking. I just love it. Or she says, I'm not crazy or unstable. I was abused. I'm a survivor. And remember that if you've been abused and you're in victim mode now, do not stay a victim. We are not victims. We are victors, and we rise from the ashes. And so with that, I bid you a farewell. Good night. I'm going to catch some Z's. I am exhausted. You've probably seen it in the video. I am ready to just fall out, but I wanted to get the video out there because I need us to move forward and press forward, and we're going to be working on different projects. And so I'm hoping this will be the last one. I can't think of any other stories that I want to tell other than my parents, but I think that I've pretty much got it out there. There are family members, there are friends that I know that are fighting with this, and so or have been through this, and it too shall pass, and we are survivors. And so I love you with all my heart. Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to my niece who said, hey auntie, can you should do this series on domestic violence. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna get there. And she said, no, I think you need to do it fast. And I said, yeah, I'm gonna get there. And I was like, I need to pray because God has to tell me what to do. And I want to give her the shout out that she deserves. I will not call her by name. She is not a victim in her current marriage. She is happily married, and but she does know what it's like to have been a victim. She is now a victor and a survivor, and really said, get this out there, auntie. And I prayed on it, and I wasn't ready in my flesh, but God knew best. And so I just thank you all for your support. I don't have many subscribers, and that's okay. And all the subscribers don't always look at my videos, and that's fine. I still appreciate the fact that you are supportive. Hit the like button if you liked it. It's my understanding that in order for the algorithm to go out, and it's my goal to touch as many people as possible, so that the people that are going through it and can't identify it know that there's somebody else who's been through the same storm, and know that it too shall pass. So hit the like button up on there. Don't do this one, hit that one. And so but it's down there right at the bottom of the screen. And and subscribe if you haven't, and share. Please share, really share it so that it can get out there. I do want people to know that somebody else is out there. Remember, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you only need one in a jar. But this is to remind me that I'm earning faith to fill up the whole jar. And so good night. Going, and I am gone.